We're here for review hearings in each of these cases. We're conducting these through Zoom. We are live streaming, and Ms. Goodman is making our record today. Thank you, Ms. Goodman. Okay, we'll go ahead and take announcements.
Melinda Powell for the Department of the St. Francis Permanency Specialist. Today is Cassie Kopic.
Jeff Hill on behalf of Mother Sis Contreras. She's present by video. We're ready.
Natalie Archer, guardian ad litem for Sis Contreras, and present and ready.
Dina Turk for CASA.
Maureen Lucero for Ruben Mendoza. Your Honor, I'm present and ready. It's my understanding that Mr. Mendoza is still in Mexico.
T.D. Hammonds for Ashraf Camille Al-Mukbil, the alleged father of I'm ready, Judge. I have made efforts to find him. I cannot find him.
Stacy Zavala on behalf of Abby, John, and Grace.
And CASA is present with us, and I think our advocate announced already. Okay. Then let's get an update from St. Francis first. What do we have new?
Last week we started unsupervised visits before the counseling with Sis and the kids. The kids are still doing good. Sis is still working at Affiliated Foods. The parent support worker is going to help her go look at new apartments this week. And she also has to fill out a form and pay a fee to get her driver's license back. And I think she has to show proof of insurance, so that should be able to get completed pretty soon.
Okay. How'd the first visit go?
Good. They had fun. Deja dropped them off, and then I had to take them to therapy, because she doesn't have the driver's license. But everybody was happy, and Sis went with me to take the kids back to the foster home, and, everybody seemed all right.
Okay, great. Good. All right, Mr. Hill.
Hi, Judge. Ms. Contreras tells me she has completed all of her services. She is, my understanding is completed her counseling, but still doing counseling because everybody feels it would be beneficial for her to continue. Says that her job is going well. She's paying all her bills all by herself. Her car did break down. She plans to get that fixed, but she's got to save a few dollars to do that. And she is asking that the court approve some unsupervised visits with her kids.
Okay, Ms. Kopic, what's St. Francis's plan moving forward with visits?
We were doing the unsupervised visits before the counseling, and then we were going to let her have her regular visitation that she had already been having, so that she'd have as much time to parent the kids as possible. The counseling on Thursdays.
Okay, but are you talking about moving forward? Are you talking about still supervised visits or unsupervised?
When we staffed with Steve, he told us to do the unsupervised before his counseling. We could do the other ones unsupervised if you wanted that as well, but she gets 3 hours on Fridays because the kids are in 4-day school, and school starts, I believe, next week.
Mm-hmm. Okay, but I'm still confused. Are we talking about moving forward? Are we talking about those will be unsupervised?
The ones prior to the counseling is unsupervised. So she didn't quite get 2 hours last week, but this week she'll get about 2 hours before her counseling session. But then we have the 3 hours that we've been supervising.
Okay. All right. All right, let me hear from everybody else, and then we'll come back to this issue. So, okay, Mr. Hill, anything else that you all wanted to address today?
No, ma'am.
Okay. All right, Mr. Hammonds?
Nothing, Judge. I'll keep sending out, messages just to see if he's on any kind of social media. If the department would just let me know, email me if they get any information about him. I've got this one address in Grand Prairie that I've sent mail to, and I haven't gotten anything back.
Okay, and Ms. Copic, have we heard anything from Mr. Hernandez?
No, I haven't heard from him since March. I have a phone number and an email, but he didn't provide me an address, and I keep emailing and texting that number.
All right, Ms. Lucero?
Your Honor, I have not had any contact with Mr. Mendoza. I did see in the report that that Ms. Contreras provided a phone number to the department for Mr. Mendoza. So I'll reach out to Ms. Copic to get that phone number to see if I can reach him. But that's all I have today.
Okay. All right, and Ms. Zavala?
And Your Honor, I don't know if this is going to be addressed with Dr. Jennings or anything, but it sounds like mom's working like she should and moving forward, and we're advancing towards kind of a slow and steady reunification is kind of the way I'm looking at it. I don't know exactly what that schedule would be. I would like to recommend that we look at placing the children at different times so that she can get ready with one and then add another and then add another. Personally, I believe it would be best to start with John for various reasons. I do have concerns about, in the past, Abby possibly being used as a caretaker for the youngers. I would like to see if possibly Abby could be added in last so that moms, got the routine down with the younger kids. And I'm kind of looking ahead. I mean, I don't think we're talking about that right this very moment, but as we're building to that, that's kind of the way I'm looking at what I think might be in the best interest of the kids.
Okay. All right, and then CASA, and then I want to get to Dr. Jennings, so.
We don't have any concerns right now.
Okay. All right, then, Ms. Powell, I assume we've got Dr. Jennings here for a reason.
I do. I just kind of want to get his opinion on the progress, and I don't know if everybody wants him sworn in or just let us have a conversation with Dr. Jennings. I'm good with however others want to proceed.
Anybody want him sworn in, or do we all just want to have a conversation and then anybody's free to ask any questions?
Either way works for me.
Judge, informal is fine with TD.
Okay. All right, Dr. Jennings, give us your recommendations about where we are at this point.
Okay, can everybody hear me?
Yes, sir.
Okay, so I've done individual with Ms. Contreras, and then a couple months went by, and then we've started family. We've done 9 sessions, and she gets along with all the children very well. She's very good at holding a long-term job. She was at a JBS for a half a year, and then now she's at affiliated more than half a year. However, as this reintegration happens, I don't know if anyone brought this up, but she's about 14, 15 weeks pregnant right now. And so we've got that along with her getting these kids back, trying to work the car thing out, school getting ready to start. So talking with Mrs. Alla, I think we were thinking John first because of that dynamic of the older sister, Abelina. kind of being a little parentified, but honestly, in most families, the oldest child is going to be a little parentified, and I think Sis is aware of that. I think she's aware that Abelina tends to maybe overuse that authority, and so she's working on that. She's making Abelina stay in her lane. She's had to redirect the two children once, maybe twice in a counseling session. It turned out good. So, but I agree. I think she needs some time with John first to reconnect, for him to feel secure that he's not, the odd person out, that he's just as important as his sister. And if they have time to work on that and then slowly bring the other two in, I think that's a good idea. I think we should probably at least wait till school starts, which is in another week or two, because that would set Miss Contreras up with instant daycare. John would go to school every day, and so she could keep her job, and it wouldn't mess things up too much, and that would be a good start. So that's kind of my thoughts on the thing.
What hours, Ms. Contreras, what hours do you work?
I work from 4:30, but now it's a new boss. So I work from 5. I've been going in at 5 to whenever they close.
Okay. 5
Because
a.m., 5 p.
yes, it's almost like that. But
What?
sometimes it's a little bit overtime.
Okay, I'm still not clear. Are you going in at 5 in the morning or 5 in the evening?
No, 5 in the morning, 5 a.m. to 5 p.m. And sometimes it'll be a little bit overtime. If we get like new people, it'll be a little bit over because we train people. So it's just depends.
So do you work a 12-hour shift?
Yes.
How many days a week?
Except for Saturday and Friday, because Friday I see my kids. And so Thursday is like a half a day because I see my kids for for counseling. And then Friday I don't go into work no more. So because it'll be better for me to just stay home and wait for my kids to come to the house, and then that's it. And then I don't go to work Saturday because we don't work Saturdays, and then Sunday all the way to Thursday.
Okay. So you work Sunday through Thursday, 5 a.m. to 5 p.m.?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. What's your thinking about how are you going to get the kids to school if you're going to work at 5 a.m.? What's the plan?
My plan is to talk with the boss and see if I can do from 7 o'clock so I can take my son to school, and then get off at 5 for when the daycare closes. Because it matches with the same as the daycare. And sometimes we get off early.
Okay. But have you had that conversation with them yet?
No, not yet.
Okay. So sounds to me like we got some logistics to get worked out before we start sending kids home.
Okay.
Which I will just tell you, it's not really feasible for me to figure all that out right here. I think I'm fine with you having some unsupervised access at this point, but what I would like for you all to do is for St. Francis and you and I mean whoever we need to involve, but to have a team meeting and to work out what is this going to really look like, whether it's one child or it's all the kids. When the baby comes, what's that look like? What's your support system? Who do you have that's going to be there to help you? I mean, we're looking at a lot, a newborn baby and 3 other kids in the household. So
Right.
I think it's time to sit down and everybody talk about all of the elephants in the room.
And Judge, I think Dr. Jennings can certainly provide some insight into that, as he's obviously watched the interaction between Miss Contreras and the kids. And so, not to throw him under the bus, but I think he should certainly be involved in that and in making those and have a chance to make a recommendation in regards to that.
Oh, well, I would agree. I mean, I think his input would be invaluable. But I mean, it just, this is, we reach this point in a lot of our cases where, okay, we're ready to start looking at reunification. We're ready to start heading that direction, but we've got a lot of unanswered questions. And like I said, it's more a issue of if one or more go home, what does it look like? So in theory, I have no problem with moving forward in that direction. I think, if mom's completed services, she's worked hard and she's maintaining a good job, and, maybe this will give her some time to get her car back up and running and all that. So, I think it's crazy to think that this is going to happen before school starts. Certainly not with all the kids. So let's just don't get in such a big hurry that we, that we fail. Our dismissal date isn't until October. So all I'm going to suggest is whatever you all work out and do, my advice is we go slowly enough that we don't set anybody up to fail. All right. Anybody have anything else?
No, Ms. Copic, you're not requesting drug screens today, are you?
No, our probation officer drug screens her and she's been negative.
Okay, I think that's it, Judge.
All right. Okay, then I will continue the department as temporary managing conservator, and I will continue the children's current placement. I will approve the visitation as Ms. Copic outlined. She can have some unsupervised access during the week, and then continue with her other visitation. And then I just want everybody to have like I said, team meeting and start talking about what reunification looks like and how that's going to work.
Judge, I guess, I don't really have a dog in the fight, but is there going to be another adult in the home, the father of this new baby? Is he going to live with Ms. Contreras?
No.
Okay.
Okay, then I'm going to make a finding that there'd be a continuing danger to send the children home today. More referencing the fact that we just don't have enough of a plan in place yet. So, mom, obviously if she's going to work at 5 o'clock in the morning and not coming home till 5 o'clock in the evening, I mean, that would, kids can't be there by themselves. So, we've got some things to figure out. So, department will continue to use reasonable efforts to reunify the family. And by that, I think it's holding that family team meeting. And we are set for a final on October 8th, and that's just right before our dismissal date on October 11th. So, if we hit a wall and we need to get back together before then, you all let Miss Katie know. But I think it's just a question of trying to outline a plan for reunification or monitored return. All right. Thank you all so much. I appreciate everybody.
I apologize, Your Honor.
Nothing to apologize for. What, did y'all come up with something?
I think so. I don't know if I need to, Mr. Hill and Ms. Archer, if they need to speak to me again or if we're okay.
No, we're okay. Is Jeff back? I can't see all the parties.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes, I'm here.
We've come to an agreement, Your Honor, that we would like to present to the court today.
Okay. You want to just go ahead and prove it up?
Yes, ma'am, or I can kind of tell you what we're looking at and then bring in my worker on that.
Okay.
So background on it, at the last hearing, it was discussed on trying to work toward a monitored return and see how things are go with the children and integrate them one by one into the home. Ran into a couple of hiccups in the middle of that. Mom had her electricity cut off. We had a couple of issues there. As of last week, Mom has gotten her electricity cut back on, is back in that type of position. What we are asking today would be a monitored return with transition. The department would generate a plan that slowly integrates the children back into the home one at a time. Have a couple of things we would like to have nailed down before that happens. Timeline of looking at maybe, the next 30, 45 days to get the first child in to the home so that we can make sure that we have these things in order. Those things are, we need some proof of transportation. Mom doesn't have a driver's license right now. As my understanding, she qualifies for one, but is scared to drive, does not want to do that. So proof of some transportation in case things happen. Proof of the solid plan for backup childcare. Start her family counseling back. There'd been some missed counselings, and I think they're having some issues getting in touch with a counselor right now, but make sure that we get that all set back up and mom and children working back in the family counseling. If her backup caregiver is Mr. Dang, we need a safety plan because he has the child that is not a party to this case. We just have to make sure that the children are not left unsupervised together. And then proof that her current bills, so that we don't run into a situation where children get back in the home and bills or electricity or some other utility is shut off, to make sure that that is all nailed down and is going well for mom. Once we get those things in place, we'll start working the first child back into the home.
Okay, so with the new statute, the transitional monitored return, does that stop your timeline?
I believe it gives us, it would give us an additional 6 months.
Okay, so it's just like if the regular monitored return, it's still got the same criteria.
Yes, ma'am. It's just on give us we set up a schedule to do transition instead of moving the children directly back into the home.
Okay. So, are you ready to put that on the record?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. And we want to do all three of them together?
Yes, ma'am. We can call them all three together.
Okay. Anybody have an objection to that? Just say yes if you do. Okay. All right. You're all hungry. I got you. All right. So let's go on the record and 3 causes. We're all set for final hearings today. And if I could have announcements.
Daniel Trial for the Texas Department of Family and Protective Services. We're present and ready on all 3 cases, Your Honor.
Thank you.
Jeff Hill on behalf of the mother on all 3 of these cases. She's present behind me and we're ready.
Thank you.
Natalie Archer, guardian ad litem for the mother, Sis Contreras, and I'm present and ready.
Thank you.
Lorraine Lucero on behalf of Ruben Mendoza, Your Honor, on the Mendoza child case. I'm present and ready. I have not had any contact throughout this case with Mr. Mendoza.
Thank you.
Judge T.D. Hammonds, and I represent the alleged father, Mr. Almook Beal. We've never been able to serve him or find him, and I've had no luck.
I totally understand and feel your pain. Thank you for your announcement.
Stacy Zabala on behalf of Abby, John, and Grace.
Thank you very much, Ms. Zavala. Okay, Mr.
Janelle
Trout.
Garrett,
I'm sorry.
Janelle Garrett with CASA, and my advocate is Dina Turk.
Okay, sorry. Got you, Casa. All right, Mr. Trout, tell me what you got.
Yes, ma'am. We would, I would ask for Cassie Kopic is my witness today, Your Honor. And you heard what we announced earlier, what we talked about, correct?
Yes.
Okay. Is the department at this point asking the court for a monitored return with transition?
Yes.
In order to nail down a few things and then try to slowly integrate the children back into the home with mom?
Yes.
Okay. Your understanding, mom, in being in the house last week, mom did get electricity turned back on?
Yes.
Okay. So that alleviated our one concern without that we didn't do this beforehand.
Yes.
Okay. Before we get to the children integrated in, would you ask that as part of the transition plan that mom give us a solid plan for transportation and backups if something were to happen?
Yes.
And how she would get the children around?
Yes.
A plan of solid child care plan for when mom's at work, safety plan for who would be supervising the children?
Yes.
Okay. Is there a possibility of getting some sort of aftercare or child care help set up with mom?
Yes. Once they're returned home to her, the department does pay for daycare. Just having a spot open for them.
Okay. And then had some issues with getting the family counseling set back up, is my understanding. Is that correct?
Yes.
Okay. But we need to get that set back up with the children and get the counseling going to make sure the household is running efficiently.
Yes.
If Mr. Dang is going to be a backup, we need a safety plan to make sure the child that is in his care is not left alone with these children. Is that correct?
Yes.
Okay. And then mom is paid on her electric bill to get it turned back on and has set up a payment plan, is your understanding, to get the rest of the bill paid?
Yes.
And would you ask for proof that the payment plan set up and that all of her other bills are currently up to date?
Yes.
Okay. Once those things are done, we would try to start with John. Is that correct? Working him back into the home?
Yes.
Okay. And then if everything goes fine with that and they are doing well, you would want to move, is it Abilena back in?
Yes.
There? And then once Abilena is moved in, if it is all still going well, we would integrate Grace back into the case. Is that into the home? Is that correct?
Yes.
Okay. And are you asking, is the department asking for this monitored return with transition in order to continue with the plan of reunification with mom and see how this goes?
Yes.
And do you believe that that is in the best interest of the children at this time instead of going into asking for some sort of PMC order?
Yes.
And that would be the department's request today to the court.
Yes.
Would you be able to have the full plan drawn up and gone over, or drawn up and filed with the court and to other parties within the week?
Yes, I should be able to do that.
Okay. Is there anything else you would be asking for as far as what you would need mom to do?
No.
Okay. Mom's doing well with services?
Yes.
Okay. Is she cooperating with you?
Yes, she's always cooperated.
Okay. So we just need to get these few things nailed down and then try to work the children back into the home.
Yes.
And that you believe is in the best interest of all parties involved, but also in the best interest of the children?
Yes.
I'll pass the witness, Your Honor.
Mr. Hill.
No questions, ma'am.
Let's see who else we got here. Mr. Hammonds.
No questions, Judge.
Thank you. Ms. Lucero.
No question, John.
Okay, Ms. Zavala.
No questions, Your Honor.
Okay. Any other witnesses, Mr. Trout?
No other witnesses at this time, Your Honor.
And Mr. Hill, do you have any witnesses?
No, ma'am.
Okay, I assume that the the attorneys of the alleged parents' fathers do not. Ms. Zavala, do you have any witnesses?
No, Your Honor.
Okay, I know that we have a guardian ad litem for the mother, so I would just ask if you are also in agreement with this, ma'am.
I am in agreement.
Okay, thank you. And then CASA also, are you a CASA?
Yes, ma'am.
Is the guardian, okay. And CASA is in agreement.
Yes, we are in agreement.
Wonderful. This sounds like everybody's agreeable right before lunch. I think you're all hungry, personally. I think it's great. I've never been a real fan of transitional monitored returns, but this one looks like it might actually be a workable, doable thing that the legislature did in their infinite wisdom. So we need to set a hearing. I know that that the court has a March date. I don't know if y'all want to do that. You may want to get together before that. That's up to y'all. That's not 3 months. You need a 3-month hearing. Are you there, Rachel?
I'm here, and I sent out dates in the chat, Judge.
Okay.
Because I didn't realize we were going to be doing this today. I thought we were doing PMC.
Right.
Sorry, Rachel, this kind of came about late yesterday afternoon.
Right. No, it's fine. So I've sent out January 28th at 9 for a review. And then we'll just change the after final to the final hearing because that will be before the dismissal date.
Okay. Do we need to do a short, I know we did testimony, do we need to do a short review today, Rachel?
It wouldn't hurt just to make sure we stay in compliance.
Okay. All right.
So I'm sorry to interrupt. So we do have hearings set January 28th and March 27th. Is that correct?
Right. That's apparently what you got.
Yes.
Okay.
And basically, you just want to call this a permanency review hearing for purposes of staying within the statutory guidelines.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, well, I think you pretty much have already proven that up.
Okay.
Unless I don't think we need any other elements. Everybody agrees that is a review status.
Judge, if I could ask my worker real quick, just how the kids are doing.
That'd be great.
Ms. Kovic, how are the children doing right now?
The kids are all having their needs met in the placement. John and Abby do have behavioral problems that the foster family is working on them with. Abby's got sticky fingers and is kind of manipulative, and John throws tantrums, but the foster home's managing those behaviors, and there's no issues with Grace. She's doing great.
Okay. Do we have any concerns with placement at this time? Not concerns with placement, but stability of placements right now?
The only thing is that the agency workers did tell me that they were going to put a discharge on John.
On John?
Yes.
Okay, but that has not officially come through yet?
No, it hasn't.
Okay, that's just kind of a, I won't say rumor, but word of mouth that is what you've been advised?
Yes.
Okay. Would that be, to your understanding, would that be a 30-day notice?
Yes.
Okay, all right. If that does come through, would you be sure to notify all parties?
Yes.
And you will try to get the plan written up and filed with the court?
Yes.
Sent to everybody and filed with the court. Okay. I'll pass witness, Your Honor.
Mr. Hill, any questions?
No, ma'am.
Ms. Lucero?
No question, John.
Mr. Hammonds?
No questions, Judge.
And Ms. Zavala?
No questions.
Okay. Anything further? Okay, the mother is on here. So let me do what are called the statutory warnings. I just need you to remember, ma'am, that, and I'm very proud of you. I think I was reading through all this and you've really stuck in there and done what you've been asked. But I need you to remember that even when these children are placed back in your home, that the department is still the temporary managing conservator. And so they can come to your house at any time, day or night. And it looks like you have ad items and guardians that, might show up at 9 o'clock at night. So just be aware, and they have the right to knock on the door. I have to warn you that if you fall off your wagon, if you don't work your services, that your rights could still be restricted or terminated. I'm not making that as a threat. I just don't want you to think that this has all gone away. Okay. So wish you good luck. And I think everybody here is very proud of you. And it sounds like everybody's trying to help you get there. Anything else today as concerning this case?
Judge, new dismissal date would be, I believe, April 4th of 2025 would be the new dismissal.
Okay. So you're starting the transitional today?
Well, When is that?
You have, well, I mean, you have to, you got till the 11th and you got to plug it in. So you're close enough. Whenever the judge looks at it, she's got a system that she'll put it into.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. Everybody's got that date though. Okay. Thank you for working this out. Sounds like a good resolution. Y'all have a great lunch. I'll see anybody that's around next Tuesday. I'm on the menu. So we'll see you then.
Thank you.
Thank
Judge.
y'all.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay.
Thank you, Judge. Thank you,
You're
Nori.
welcome.
All right, trying to make sure I've got everybody connected. Okay, looks like we do. Okay, we're here on review hearings in both cases. We're conducting these through Zoom. We're live streaming, and Ms. Goodman's making our record. All right, we'll go ahead and take announcements.
Melinda Powell for the Department of St. Francis Permanency Specialist today is Avery Hoganson.
Savannah Kincaid on behalf of Ms. Pineda. We're present and ready.
Joel Jackson on behalf of Neil Solis. I'm present. Is my client in a waiting room? We spoke with the prison yesterday. He's incarcerated.
Yeah, Mr. Jackson, I don't have him.
Okay. Present, ready, Your Honor.
Maureen Lucero on behalf of Taurus Richardson, father of Lazaria. Your Honor, I'm present and ready. I don't expect Mr. Richardson today.
Okay.
Stacy Zabala on behalf of the children.
All right, and Casa is also present. I think Ms. King is present and Ms. Castillo are both present.
Yes, Your Honor.
All right, then, what do we have new? Guess we'll get a report from Ms. Hoganson.
Both the girls are doing really good in their placement. Lazarius is doing really great in his placement as well with his foster mom. Both the girls have expressed wanting to live with their Aunt Linda, but the Bear Found agency has denied that. So.
That it's a relative that they're wanting to live with?
Yes, ma'am.
Why did Bear Foundation deny that? I'm behind. What's?
She had too many children living in the home.
Okay, so she's a licensed foster parent already.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, got
and
it.
income as well. Sorry.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, well, I suppose that's something that's out there in the wings if that situation changes. Okay. All right, anything else new since the court report was filed?
Anna, the mom's drug screen did come back negative. And as of yesterday, Taurus has contacted me. I sent him the link for court today, but he did not respond.
Okay, he's logged in, so he's present.
Okay.
Is that the first contact you've had with him?
Yes, ma'am.
Ms. Cantrell, did you have contact with him before?
When I was the first to sign the case, and when Michaela had become a supervisor, so probably about November, December, I believe. I did have some contact with him, but it was that one conversation and nothing since. So it's been silent since about November, December.
Your Honor, I understand we're in the middle of the hearing. Would it be possible to get a quick breakout room with Mr. Richardson?
Yes, ma'am.
Thank you.
Okay. All right. So let me go back to Ms. Hoganson. Anything else to report then?
No, ma'am, not at this time.
Okay.
Judge, can I ask just a real quick question?
Sure.
Ms. Hoganson, is Ms. Pineda, is she complying with her service plan?
Yes, ma'am. She just recently started working services.
Okay, so at this point in time, you would say she is in compliance?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, and what about are either of the fathers? I believe one of them is incarcerated. Is that correct, Mr. Solis?
Yes, ma'am.
And would you say he's not compliant due to his incarceration?
Yes, ma'am.
And then in regards to Mr. Richardson, I believe you said you've had minimal contact with him and that Ms. Cantrell had minimal contact with him.
Yes, ma'am.
Are you aware of any services he has completed?
No, ma'am.
So would it be fair to say he is not in compliance with his service plan?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, that's all I have, Judge. Oh, are you asking for any drug screens today?
No, ma'am.
Okay, that's all I have, Judge. Thank you.
Okay. All right, Ms. Kincaid.
Thank you, Your Honor. So it looks like Ms. Pineda has got employment, is that correct?
Yes, ma'am.
And she's got housing, is that correct?
Yes, ma'am.
And she is she doing therapeutic visitation with the girls?
They had their first therapeutic visit 2 weeks ago, but now it's getting moved to only supervised visits.
Okay, from therapeutic visitation to supervised visits?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, and how are what are visits looking like with Lazarius, the boy?
They are every Tuesday.
Okay, and are those going well?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, is there anything that she has not completed or is not working on for the department at this time?
She has completed all classes. She just needs to finish counseling and get a psychosocial assessment. And she does, she was arrested in May on a probation revocation and has pending criminal assault charges, and this could potentially affect her probation.
Okay, but so far as her services are concerned, she's either completed them or is working them actively?
She is working them actively.
Okay, thank you. I'll pass witness.
Okay, Mr. Jackson.
Thank you, Judge. Ms. Hoganson, I was looking at your report that was filed with the court with regard to Neil Solis Sr. Said as of March 25th of 2024, worker Cantrell had received letters from Neil to give to his children. Do you know if those letters ever made it to his kiddos?
No, sir.
You don't know, or they didn't make it?
I am unsure about that right now.
Okay. And when did you take on this case approximately?
Around July 5th.
Okay. So have you attempted to reach out and communicate with Mr. Solis since you came on board?
Yes, sir. I mailed him a letter July 23rd.
Okay. All right. And to date, you haven't received anything?
No, sir.
Any response? Also, in the report of CASA, they were stating that he needed to work what services that he can while he's incarcerated. Are there any services that you all have available to him at this point in time that he can work while he is incarcerated?
We have a booklet for him.
Okay. Have you seen that?
I'm pretty sure that Miss Cantrell has.
All right. And what does that booklet entail? What's in it?
Parenting classes.
Okay.
And life skills.
Okay. All right. No further questions, Your Honor.
Okay. All right, Ms. Lucero.
Your Honor. Ms. Hoganson, currently, what's the goal in this case?
The goal is fictive kin relative adoption. That's the primary goal as of right now.
Okay. And I know that you're new on the case, but I know Ms. Cantrell is present. Mr. Richardson's parents, the Smiths, had a home study done. I believe it was completed or denied back in January. At the bottom of those home studies, it always says that they're going to follow up for, I guess, for information that's still needed. Do you know, or do you have there in your records, or maybe Ms. Cantrell can answer this, if any of those concerns were ever followed up on before the report was denied, before the home study was denied?
I'll help her on this one. That was the home study was completed. Prior to that, prior to me also taking the case, but as far as follow-ups, I didn't complete any before it was denied. It was denied when I received it. But I think the main concern was age, and then some of the physical health of the grandpa.
Okay. All right, Ms. Control. And again, you stated that that was denied before, I guess, before you took the case. But from your understanding, there was no, I see in the report that it was asking for additional information on the grandpa's physical health and things like that. But you're telling me that none of that was followed up on. As far as you know, the department didn't ask for any information to verify what his physical health was or anything like that.
I do know that they were notified I was denied and for why. And I know that they were provided with information as such, why I was denied and what we would need. But I never received anything.
All right. So did you advise them why it was denied, or the prior worker did?
Prior worker did. I did not. We did go to their home last month and discuss looking for Mr. Richardson. At that time, they just told us that they did not know where he was. But they did not address anything with the home study other than that they yelled out the door that apparently they're bad grandparents, and that's all that mattered.
Okay. And were you the worker on the case, Ms. Cantrell, whenever the Smiths, which are paternal grandparents for Lazarius, when they asked, for possible visits with Lazarius, maybe once a month? Were you aware of that?
No, ma'am.
Okay. And either, I guess, you or Ms. Hoganson can answer this. Would y'all be opposed, would the department be opposed to the grandparents having, one monthly visit with Lazarius?
Yes.
Okay. And why is that, Ms. Hoganson?
Just because of lack of contact and relationship.
All right, Ms. Hoganson, and again, I understand you're new on the case, but were you aware that when this case first started, that Lazarius was actually with the Smiths for 2 weeks' time?
No, ma'am.
And that they, prior to, the department getting involved, that they did see the child on a regular basis?
No, ma'am.
Okay. I'll pass the witness.
But, Ms. Zavala.
No questions, just a report. All the children are doing very well. The girls are placed together in a group home. They used to be in different cottages. They've now been moved to the same cottage, and are doing quite well. It is correct that they would prefer to be with their great aunt Linda. Because of the related case in this family, she went through licensing and became a therapeutic foster home. So that's where the licensing issue comes in. I think I think we're always looking at that situation. The girls have been placed with her before, and it may be possible that in the future that could be a placement for them as well. But I believe at this particular point, their licensing through the Bear Foundation may not allow that right now. But that may be something that could be adjusted and looked at. Also, the girls previously are very vocal. They know what they want. They're good at expressing it. And I know, Your Honor, you were able to meet with the girls at the beginning of this case. Previously, they did not want to have contact with mom. Mom does appear to be working services now. They did a therapeutic visit with a counselor. And I have confirmed directly with the girls that the girls would like that contact to continue. And that it sounds like, although I haven't been able to speak with her directly, that Patricia, the therapist, says that that's okay to be done outside of her presence. So I am good with those visits taking place. We just want to always keep checking in with the girls to make sure that's still how they feel about that. But I do think that this is good progress being made. I don't think that the girls were getting in-person visits with little brother until very recently, and I do want to make sure that that continues. I believe that has now been put in place. But as of right now, all of the children are in very good placements. Lazarius is here in town in a placement that he's been in since the very beginning of the case, doing quite well. And I've got no concerns about any of the placements for any of the children at this time.
Okay. All right, and Casa.
So maybe having trouble with her audio, Your Honor. I apologize. Delisa, are you okay with that?
She's muted.
Sorry, yes.
Okay. You have a recommendation today?
I just think mom is doing really good. I visit her, and if she continues her work, I think the girls are good where they're at. And I'm just proud of mom that she has her own home now and is keeping her job.
Okay, great.
Your Honor, I do have some concerns. I have not had any touch with Mr. Richardson at all, and I'm wondering if we can request him call the CASA office here in Amarillo and ask for me, and I can get his contact information. Also, he has not worked any of the services on this case. And again, we're bringing out some of the strengths that mom has. We saw her new place that she's had here in Amarillo. She has plans, and she is very positive about moving forward with working the rest of the family service plan.
And Judge, if I may briefly, due to the fact that Mr. Richardson just appeared and there's been no contact, I would request that he do drug screen today.
All right.
Your Honor, if I may, I don't know if you're going to come back around to us, but I just had some information to add.
Sure, go ahead.
Okay, first of all, I'd advise Mr. Richardson that you would likely order a drug screen today since he's been out of the picture for a bit. I just wanted the court to know that he is currently residing, staying for a while in Arlington, so he's not in Amarillo, so I don't know how that will work. But I believe the worker now has his number, and I told him they'd probably reach out to him and tell him where he needs to go. I also, the way Mr. Richardson and I lost contact there for a bit, I was able to reach his family, the Smiths, and that's how the issue about the home study came up. The Smiths advised that they were told that their home study was denied, but they didn't have any idea as to why. And so I know that right now the goal is fictive kin relative, I guess, adoption. It's not reunification at this time. And I know maybe I'm jumping ahead, but if this case we get to a point where this case is extended, since the mother is doing well, I would like to see if the court, would oppose if I file a motion for placement or at least reconsideration of that home study. I know the court has the authority to override the denied home study, but that's what I'd like to do. These folks know the child. The child was with him. They have other grandchildren, and I think that the concerns that are set forth in the home study can be addressed properly in a hearing. So, and I've spoken with Mr. Richardson. And from the beginning, he did list his parents as possible placement. So I'd like to see if maybe we could get something like that set up.
Do you want to go ahead and talk about scheduling a placement hearing? Or
yes, Your Honor, just at least to address the denied home study on the Smiths.
Do we want to see if they want to work with St. Francis on getting some of the information that they probably need to supply, and then take another look at that?
Yes, Your Honor. When I reached out to them to get make sure I had a good contact number for Mr. Torres Richardson, they said that they're willing to just provide anything that the court might need. They just want to be able to see their grandson and are hopeful that they can at least, start having weekly visits, or monthly visits, whatever the court will give them.
What I guess what I think makes most sense is for them or Ms. Hoganson to have some contact with them and look back at that home study and see what the concerns were and see what, she needs so that they can supply that information.
Okay.
And then if there still isn't a consensus about whether or not they could be approved, or if it's still going to appear to be denied, at that time, then I'd be happy to give you a placement hearing. I think it's premature to set it now.
Right. Okay.
Until that's done, but I'm happy to do that if we need to do that. So we can try to pick up where we left off with that if they're still interested, in placement.
Yeah.
Judge Baker, if I may.
Oh, go ahead, Michaela.
Sorry, that home study, I believe, was done past the 1 year mark. So if it's past 1 year, we have to get a new one done. We can't go back and address anything in that old home study without a fresh one being in there.
Okay.
I thought that it was done in December. It was signed off. I know that it was filed in January.
Yeah, we just have to double check the date on it. I'm not too sure what month it was completed, but I just wanted to throw that out there in case we have this hearing and everybody's waiting for us to discuss it and we can't even look at that last home study anymore.
Well, I guess we need to check and see when was it actually done.
Okay.
Was it filed?
It was filed in January, Your Honor. I'm not sure what date. I just remember January.
And then I can also add, whenever I was speaking, when I did have the one contact with Taurus, he did also mention a sister. I did ask him to provide me with that information, and he told me he would give her my information and that she'd reach out, and I've never heard anything from her. So, I mean, if that's still an option, you know, we could look into that as well. I mean, we do one home study at a time, but I know that it was said by him regarding his sister as well.
Well, the only one I see in January was one, I think, for the girls. I don't know if this is the one that had to do with the aunt. Jessica Campa.
Yes, that was a previous fictive kin placement.
Yeah. But I'm not seeing any home studies filed after that unless I'm just missing them. Well, okay, I guess we need to just look at the date and then find out if his sister is still somebody that we want to look at.
Okay.
If she is, then then Ms. Lucero, I mean, she's obviously younger. She may not have the health issues. Then
Okay.
I would just look for you to and your client to tell the department who they would prefer to look at first.
Okay.
If we've
All
got
right.
to completely start over with grandparents.
Grandparents? Okay.
Judge, there was the grandparents' home study was filed on January 22nd in the in Lazarius's case. I'm looking to see when it was completed.
This was just pulling up the girl's case, I guess. Honestly, okay.
Yeah, it was signed by Rebecca Webb on December 16th of 2023. So it is not a year old yet.
Okay.
And like I said, it was filed on January 22nd of this year.
All right. So I'm fine if we can, resurrect it and take a look and see if there's some things that can be cured. But at the same time, if we have an aunt that is still interested, that I just would kind of like everybody to talk about it. What direction would they prefer to go?
Okay.
And then we could initiate one on her if she is still interested.
All right, Your Honor. I'll check into that.
Okay.
And I'll keep in touch with the department about it too.
Okay.
Judge,
right.
the girl expressed that they wanted to be placed with an Aunt Linda. What is her last name? Do you all have that?
It's Del Toro.
Thank you. Maternal aunt, I take it.
Yes, sir.
Thank you.
Okay, then I'll find that there would be a continuing danger to return the children home today. Mother is in compliance. I don't think any of the fathers are in compliance with their service plans. And Ms. Pineda, I mean, you're doing very well. Just keep up the good work. And I will order Mr. Richardson to drug test as soon as he's instructed to do so by the permanency specialist, Ms. Hoganson. You may need time to figure out where to send him. And that will be a hair and a UA. And Mr. Richardson, just so you know, failure to appear for that drug test when that's been scheduled is deemed a positive result. So it's very important you go, even if you know you're going to be positive. We just need to get a baseline. So if you're going to start working services, we can work with you.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. I'll continue all the children's current placements. And then we can start looking into these home studies as we've discussed. Our next hearing dates are our finals. And that'll be October 15th. Okay.
Judge, they'll both be on the 15th.
Yeah, okay. I was just looking at that. I thought that's got to be a typo. Okay. October 15th on a 9 o'clock docket. So I'll see everybody back then. When we get closer to that time, we can look at whether an extension, might be justified. I will say that, we kind of have that standing order to mediate. So I would just suggest that you all mediate the case prior to, let's just say, October 5th. You all want an attorney mediator?
It may be easier to get in with an attorney mediator, Judge.
Okay. All right, Ms. Katie will assign whoever is next up on the list. And I'll see y'all back in October.
Thank you.
Okay, thank you all very much.
Judge Baker,
Yes.
can I please? I was just gonna see if I could get some clarity on something. I had on the docket, it says that Solis was set for 10:15, but then the Richardson case was set on the 17th.
You're right. No, both of them, both are the 15th.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah, it was just a typo. Both are on the 15th.
Okay, perfect.
All right, thank y'all.
Thank
Thank you,
you.
Judge.
We're here on a review hearing today. We're conducting this through Zoom. We're live streaming, and Ms. Goodman's making our record. All right, we'll go ahead and take announcements.
Melinda Powell for the Department, the St. Francis Permanency Specialist today is Cayenne Williams. I think I said that correctly. Okay.
Savannah Kincaid, I represent Ms. Smith. I'm present. I've sent a copy of the Zoom link to Ms. Smith. I've not had any contact with her, and she didn't respond to my email.
Oh, I'm sorry. Laureen Lucero on behalf of Dylan Green, the father, Your Honor, we're present ready.
Casey Zavala on behalf of Serenity.
All right, then what do we have new since the court report was filed? Ms. Williams?
Since the court report, I did see everybody yesterday. I saw Kirsten. She said she's about 12 weeks pregnant. Last used methamphetamines a few days ago. Still homeless and jobless. I did ask her for a phone number to send the Zoom link to, and she said she would just have to go back to her friend's phone and text me, and never did. And then I saw Dylan yesterday. He said his last BIP class is tomorrow. He did drug test last week and it was negative. He did say he lost both of his jobs last week, and they do have to be out of his aunt's house sometime this month, depending on her job. And Serenity is doing great. She's walking. She started pulling her hair out on one side, so she has a little bald spot, but other than that, she's making good progress.
Miss Williams, how is Mr. Green doing working his other services? Has he completed counseling, parenting, anything else?
Yes, he's completed his parenting classes. I do have that certificate. He did the first 6 sessions of counseling, and then we have the next 6 court ordered, and I believe he's completed 2 or 3 of those. And he attends visits most weeks. He goes to Serenity's therapy most weeks.
Okay, so is Mr. Green in compliance with his service plan at this time?
Mostly.
And Judge, we would ask for you to make that determination as to what we need to put in the order.
Okay, what do we lack, Miss Williams? I mean, has he done like RBT? What do we have left?
He just doesn't have stable housing, stable employment, stable transportation, just those aspects. His classes, he's, like I said, he's done really good and he does go to visits. But it's just the stable safety aspects that Serenity would need to be returned full-time to him.
Okay. All right, so Ms. Powell, for purposes of the order, I'll find that he's in compliance with his service plan.
Thank you, Judge.
So, Mr. Green, you heard, what the concerns are, so I assume that you're going to be trying to address those as soon as you can.
Yes, Your Honor.
Okay. Do you have a plan about housing?
Yes, ma'am. I picked up my check on the 10th, from my last check from Buffalo Wild Wings. I'm not sure. My mouth did overload myself over at Blue Beacon. So I just got to schedule a time to go out there and get that paycheck. I do plan to start Amarillo College. I am going out there later today. I am wanting to do what my girlfriend does at the current time. I'm really into phlebotomy. So I am going to try to struggle that with keeping maintenance of Serenity and all that and continue that so I can further my education to do higher jobs. Car wise, I have been reading into the driver's handbook and all that online. I've done that. So job wise, I'm applying for others. So
Okay. Are you going to try to work and go to AC?
yes, ma'am.
Okay. Okay. All right, Miss Kincaid, anything else to add?
I have a question. Miss Williams, where do you see Miss Smith?
At the Guyon Sanders Resource Center. She lives in a tent over there, so she's usually in the resource center around lunchtime.
Okay, so but you don't have any kind of reliable way to contact her other than going there?
Correct.
Okay, is she exercising any visits with Serenity at all?
No. I couldn't find her for a few months and then she was incarcerated, said she had been sober, and then the next time I saw her was yesterday and she said she was still using methamphetamine. So
okay, thank you.
All right, and I noticed that all right, I've signed an order referring y'all to mediation and appointed Mr. Barfield as mediator. So, Ms. Kincaid, that might give you a spot to look for. Ms. Williams, if you have any further contact with her, would you pass along to her how important it is that she get in touch with Ms. Kincaid?
yes, ma'am.
Okay. How far along was she?
She said she's about 12 weeks.
Okay. All right. Ms. Lucero, anything else today?
Your Honor, well, as far as his services and his employment and housing, I believe he's addressed that. And I think he's trying to work towards, he lives with his girlfriend. I mean, they're together. They have that income, and then when he gets another job, they're looking to find a new place to live. He does visit with Serenity on Tuesdays, supervised from 2 to 4, so 2 hours a week. Plus, he gets an hour. He normally does on a regular basis attend her physical therapy, ECI, and speech. I believe he's trying to do everything he possibly can. Yes, he struggled with housing and I guess keeping stable employment, but I haven't heard anything or seen anything or read anything that there's issues with his visits. So I would ask the court to consider maybe moving into some type of the supervised visits, but then maybe 2 hours or 4 hours of unsupervised visits. He's been consistent. Granted, he doesn't have a driver's license, but his girlfriend that I believe has been involved in this case, she has reliable transportation, a driver's license, and insurance. So we asked the court to consider, adding some unsupervised visits for him in Serenity.
And she agreed to drug screen for us. Is that correct?
Yes, I believe so. Let me look at the report.
Yes, ma'am. All her drug screens have been negative as well.
Okay. And dad's are negative right now too.
Yes.
Okay.
I believe he's been negative for quite a while, Your Honor, on hair follicle anyways.
So, Ms. Williams, what is St. Francis is thinking about more access or working into some unsupervised access?
And
All right, Ms. Zavala's got something to say.
I'm sorry, my notes may be a little bit off and they may not be updated, but I've gotten notes, Serenity's placed with Dylan's parents. And I've got notes that say there've been a lot of missed visits and that there's only some attendance at therapy, but that may be old information. I don't know. So I just would like some clarification on that.
It's back and forth. I know therapy is more inconsistent than his visits are. When he misses visits, it's usually because he's sick and he gives everyone plenty of notice. But he has missed some visits for his own, whatever. Sometimes he has classes or other things that he has to attend instead. But therapy has been pretty inconsistent, but that's just supervised by placement. So I don't have exact records of those. I just get reports from them. But when he is at therapy, he is involved and tries to really learn what she needs to be doing and things like that.
So these aren't no shows. This is just he's got either work or another class commitment or illness or something like that, and he's notified you in advance.
Yes, he has not no-showed any visits that I'm aware of. He usually gives a notice.
Okay. All right. So, Ms. Zavala, does that help?
Yeah, and I do think it's really important that Dad be able to be at as many visits as possible and at as many therapy sessions as possible. So I've got no objection to that at all about him having that visits. I'm just hoping that he is in fact, taking advantage of that opportunity to bond with her. So that was my only concern, is making sure that there's regular attendance. And it sounds like we're headed that way.
So, Ms. Williams, if a child is placed with paternal grandparents, are they willing to supervise some visitation?
Yes, I think that they are. They supervise the therapy visits right now. They're not therapeutic visits. It's just
Yeah.
Yeah.
Right. So what I'd like to do is, that's the logical place to start, obviously. So, Mr. Green, if your folks are willing to do that, I don't have a problem with you having additional time with the child on a weekly basis. And, I don't want to overload your parents, but I think Ms. Williams, just talk with them about what they're willing to do and what might work. If it's a couple, because of the child's age, if it's several times a week, I think that's great. Even better.
Yes, ma'am.
And if their schedules don't permit that and it, can be 4 hours on a Saturday or a Sunday or something like that, I'm fine with that too. So,
Your Honor, I do know my stepmom does work at Lakeview Elementary School, so her schedule's pretty tight, and my dad works out at the shop out at his property, so I know their schedule's pretty tight, definitely with my brother Levi's schedule, so dirt bike schedule and all that, so I know they're busy most weekends, sometimes during the week, so.
okay. Well, let's just see what we can work out. Like I said, I don't want it to be burdensome on them, but I would love for you to have that additional time since she's so young.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. So I'll let Ms. Williams explore that with them and see what you all can come up with.
And Your Honor, just to be clear, you're okay with just continued supervised visits with the grandparents, but not yet move into non-supervised?
I would like to have Ms. Williams and staff and everybody to look at how we can, maybe ramp up that direction.
Okay. Alright.
And that'll give him some time to get, hopefully get his job and maybe get enrolled in AC if that's what he's going to do, and get some of those things, moving in the right direction. And, and then we can start looking at what his schedule is going to be and how we could start into some unsupervised access.
Okay.
Okay.
Thank you.
All right, then. Anybody have anything further? Okay, then. For today, we'll continue the department as temporary managing conservator. We will continue child's placement. Find there would be a continuing danger to return the child home today, but that certainly Mr. Green is moving and headed the right direction. He is in compliance. The mother, Ms. Smith, is not in compliance. And let's staff on the visitation and see what we can come up with for some increased supervised access, then working into some unsupervised, as long as everything stays, stays good. So, okay. I'll see everybody back. Our final is scheduled for October 8th of 2024. And that's on a 9 o'clock docket. Okay. Appreciate y'all.
Thank you.
Yes, ma'am.